right, guys, I'm gone. You're still working. This is what you're doing. You're going to make an emoji keychain while I'm gone. I'll talk about other things you can make using the same format, but I'm going to demo for you the emoji keychain. So at this point, if you have not read this and gathered all the materials that you're going to need, hit pause, read this, and go get them. I'll wait. You also should have gathered your materials. That means you have a threaded needle, your two halves of your head, whatever buttons or scrap fabric you are using for the face. So I'm going to do a heart eye emoji. So I have two heart buttons and a smile. Okay. You have a piece of scrap felt to make a loop. And you have your key ring. Okay. So now let's talk about how these are going to go together. You're going to take one side of your emoji. Okay. And you're going to position the different elements on there the way you want them to go. Now, I'm using buttons for my eyes, okay? They're not going to stick with a pin. So I need to know where I want them, and then I'm just going to set them down. The smile, however, I can pin on. So I position my emoji smile, take a pin, okay, using that safe pinning method so that the point and the pin head are on the same side. Now my smile is attached, okay? First thing I'm going to do is using running stitches, so the dolphin through the waves, up, down, I'm going to attach the smile or the mouth or whichever you choose to make to the emoji. So remember to start on the back, okay? Pull it all the way through, okay? And I'm going to go around the outside edge doing running stitches of the smile, okay? Up and down, up and down. You can use any of the scrap fabric in the classroom, okay? You also should have been saving your scraps from your first project. Now, if you don't want to make an emoji, okay, or you finish an emoji and you want to do something else, you can use this same method and make your own pattern, and you could do maybe a Christmas ornament or something else like that, okay? But I'm just doing running stitches all the way around, okay? So you can see running stitches up and down through the waves, okay? So I'm going to finish the smile. You should be finishing your mouth. Once you've finished attaching your mouth, okay, your needle should be coming off the back side just like before, and you're going to do the tie off. So remember to sew underneath a recent stitch, okay, pull until you get a loop, and sew through the loop. You do that once, and twice, okay. You can cut that off, and now my emoji's mouth is attached. Here is where you need to decide. Are you going to use the same color thread to attach your eyes, or are you going to change it? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and leave it. It doesn't really bother me. If it bothers you, remember to change your thread. Okay, so now it's time for the eyes. I'm using buttons. You could get really creative and you could stack the buttons to make a little eye like this. Okay, it's your choice. You don't have to use buttons. You can use felt. Okay, I'm just using buttons because I think they're fun shapes and I like the way they look. If you want it, take your needle and coming from the back of your project, you're going to put your needle through one side of the eye, back down through the other. Before you pull your thread all the way through, make sure that your eye is straight. Once your thread goes through, you're not going to be able to get it back out. So now I can pull my needle all the way through, and that's where my button is going to stay. Okay? You need to go through the button 4 times. Up one side, down the other. There's 2. Use the back as a guide. Wherever you just put your needle, wherever it either came out of or went in, is where you can do it again. Right? And there is 4. Because we're not using these buttons for actual buttons, you do not need to do a shank. You tie off a button exactly the same way we've tied off in the past. So you're going to sew underneath the stitch, pull until you get a nice loop. Okay, there's my loop. Sew through it once. Do it again. Underneath the stitch. Okay, oops, I went through the felt. Underneath the stitch, pull until you have a loop. Right, and then I can cut that off right at the base. Okay, remember none of this is going to show because we're going to put a back on your button or a back on your keychain. Okay, so scary face, heart eye emoji. And now you're going to go ahead and do the next eye. Whether you're doing it with felt, if you're doing it with felt, keep doing the running stitches like you did with the mouth. If you're doing buttons, you're going to do the up and down, just like I just did. Emoji. I told you to cut a small scrap piece of felt. You need to take that felt, place it on the circle near the top, put the key ring on it, and then fold it over. Now, your key ring can move. Take a pin and pin that loop on. Okay? So, safe pinning. All right? And using your running stitches again. Okay? Up and down, up and down. Remember to hide your knots. I suggest you do several stitches close together. Okay, this way you've got more strength the closer they are to one another. Okay, I just caught the pin, so that's why I had to pop it out for a second. Okay, up and down, up and down. The closer they are, the stronger it will be. Okay, no one's going to see inside because we're going to put the 2 sides together. At this point, you might start to care about what color thread you're using. If you want to switch to the same color as your emoji body is, okay, remember to go over to where the thread is kept and get the correct color that you want. Okay, share with one another, don't hog it. Okay, a wingspan length. So far, I am yet to get more thread. I've been using the same wingspan length for the mouth, the eyes, and now this. I won't have to rethread until I'm ready to go around the emoji head. Okay, so here you see we are almost done. Okay, and it's time for a tie off again, just like before. My key ring is in there, small loops. Okay, and it's on. I'm going to go change my thread, and when we come back, we'll put together the 2 halves of the emoji. Using whip stitches around the outside, just like you have. When you go through the keychain tag, you're going to do the running stitches. You can't whip around it, so do the running stitches through it. You should get some stuffing. You don't need a lot, okay? Just a little bit. You should have left a small opening, right? Put your stuffing in the opening. Okay. You 2 are in the video, just so you know. Yeah. There should be a small opening, so put the stuffing in the opening. Okay. Now my emoji is squishy, and you're going to close the edges up. So keep doing your whip stitches all the way around to close up the emoji. You notice I switched to yellow, okay, so that you wouldn't be able to see my stitches. When there is stuffing in it, you do have to pull a little bit tighter because it has a tendency to push the sides apart. Don't pull so tight that you wrinkle the fabric, but you do have to pull tighter. Okay, I'm almost done. Now, you can make your own patterns. You could make a Christmas tree, or a coffee mug, or a cat head, okay? Get creative. You can make your own. It doesn't have to be an emoji, okay? You could make something else. But this is about the size it needs to be. Don't go overboard, okay? You're not making yourself a new pillow pet. Make something small, okay? When you go to tie off, just like before. Sew under through a stitch you've already made. Small hole once and twice. Okay? If your knots are really good, you should be able to cut off right next to them. And now I have a new keychain. Okay? So, hope you enjoy making them. I did. I expect good reports.